Jag tycker att det är jättebra. Det här är faktiskt någonting som jag tror att vi alla legitimerade har väntat på. Sverige är ju ett sånt land där allting ska vara reglerat och vi är alltid i framkant.
Yeah, practically anybody can do an injection. Me and you can, without any knowledge or anatomy or whatever.
Läkare utan specialistkompetens har utfört plastikkirurgiska operationer. Och det har inte behövts någon sjuksköterskelegitimation för att få göra injektioner i till exempel läpparna. Men nu lägger alltså regeringen ett nytt lagförslag.
Men det innebär att den som gör en skönhetsbehandling också kommer att omfattas av samma patientsäkerhet som patienter i övrig hälso- och sjukvård. Jag tror att det är rätt många av de som vänder sig till skönhetsbranschen som tror att detta är vård, att de har samma trygghet och säkerhet som andra patienter. Så är det ju inte. Så det finns ett stort behov helt enkelt av att reglera den här branschen, den här marknaden. Dels med en åldersgräns på 18 år, men också för att de som är seriösa ska känna att det är schysst konkurrens helt enkelt.
Sweden is a country where we typically have a lot of regulations, but in medical aesthetics, we don't, right? So
Yeah.
what's the situation today when it comes to this?
Yeah, practically anybody can do an injection. Me and you can, without any knowledge or anatomy or whatever, just we don't even have to take a course actually. We can just buy material online. Which
you don't need a license to buy.
Yeah, so it's almost easier than getting drugs, I suppose. It's just,
you would know.
I don't know, I've heard. But yeah, it's super easy, just, you can do it at home, buy stuff online and just start injecting people.
Yeah.
We have noticed, the governor has noticed that, okay, the amount of complications the past years have risen a lot. Because this proposal was actually a thing maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago again. But the industry in Sweden wasn't that big at that time. And now it's up for review again. And that's because we have a lot more, the industry is bigger and we have a lot more complications now.
Yeah.
It's hard to say how much of the industry is, it's not illegal but unethical. Our guess internally is something around, I would say 50%. So like half of the industry actually is non-licensed providers doing non-ethical workouts.
Like you and me. So if you and I could just pull up needles here and start injecting each other's faces with Botox and filler.
Yeah.
Any experience, which is insane.
And people in Sweden think like everything is regulated, so
Yeah.
you take for granted that this industry will also really regulated, so you don't have to look up the providers.
Yeah.
You just think, okay, they have a clinic, they have people there wearing white robes, so I'm safe.
Yeah.
But no, it's not the case. You should really do your homework. Check the clinic out, check the reviews, check their education. There's a big difference also with something we call certification versus license. Certification anybody can get, and like most.
There are also no rules on how you can get certified.
Yeah. So
you could certify me.
I could certify anybody. Yeah. We can have from tomorrow we could start a ShapeBy certification for injections. Have a education here for a couple hours, and then you'll be certified and can go home and start injecting. So certified is not enough. The new regulations say, okay, you need to be either for injectables, so we're not talking about breast implants and stuff like that. That's a different part. But for the injection parts, so you have to be either the dentist, doctor, or registered nurse. So that's three groups which you need a license to start practicing.
A medical license.
A medical license. You have a medical license if you're a nurse, you have a medical license if you're a doctor, you get a medical license if you're a dentist. So that's the difference. So certification, big no. License is what you want to see in your practitioner.
Medical license. Yeah.
Jag tycker att det är jättebra. Det här är faktiskt någonting som jag tror att vi alla legitimerade har väntat på. Sverige är ju ett sånt land där allting ska vara reglerat och vi är alltid i framkant saker och ting. Men just inom den här branschen så har det inte varit så. Sen så har vi ju folk på andra sidan gatan som inte är legitimerade till exempel. De har ju halva priset på sina behandlingar.
Valeria Helander är en av de SVT-reportrar som har granskat skönhetsbranschen och hon välkomnar det nya lagförslaget.
Jag tror att jag och många andra med mig tänker att det är väl på tiden. Det här har ju hållit på att utredas och det har lagts fram motioner och utredning efter utredning på det här området i 10-15 års tid nu. Och det har inte resulterat i någonting. Samtidigt som fler och fler människor blir skadade eftersom skönhetsbranschen växer så det knakar.
Pretty simple question. We always refer to like, would you fly a plane with a pilot that has no license, or is your accountant, a gardener, hairdresser, whatever?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. So why would you come to a clinic and get stuff injected to your face with
From
who knows
someone who doesn't know facial anatomy? And like, we're here talking about facial anatomy, but we don't know facial anatomy either, right? But we're also saying that people like us shouldn't be injecting. Like, I couldn't even distinguish between a vein and an artery. The face, as I understand it, is a very sensitive and delicate part of your body, and if you inject in the wrong place, it could be actually fatal, right? Like, what are some complications that could occur?
Necrosis, so death of tissue. If you block an artery, as you said, it will block the blood flow to the part that you're injecting, and the oxygen will stop flowing there, and the tissue will die. We have seen reported cases of blindness. We have bruising and lumps, and so this like minor. But essentially, the ones that can be lethal are allergic reactions. And that's where it's really important to have knowledgeable people in place, because then it can go really quick. It can go from being super fine to lying and choking because you can't breathe. So you have to have all the necessities in place and know what you're doing, actually. And you have to do it quickly. And you have to also know your limits, where like when it's time to call 911 or 112 in Sweden, just to get help from the hospital, because even though you're prepared, even though you have a doctor in place, there's at a certain point in time you have to go to the hospital if you can't. The only thing we are doing here is just calming the effects of the allergic reactions, so the patient can still breathe, and we monitor them. If it goes down, then it's good. We set a plan for them. But if it's being increasing, getting worse, then we have to call the hospital as well.
Yeah. And another part of this new law that has been proposed is the fact that every injector and every clinic that does these treatments need to have insurance for patients, right? So in the event that something like this does go wrong, patients need to be able to be taken care of, both financially but also medically. And today that is not the case.
Yeah, a lot of clinics don't have any. Well, I shouldn't even call them clinics.
Right. Yeah.
Like these, like people doing this at home, people doing.
Yeah. Can we talk about that? How people do these treatments at home? I mean, now we're sitting in our clinic, right, with one of our treatment rooms, which everything's very sterile, everything's very clean, hygienic. But some people do this at home in their living rooms, while watching movies and drinking wine, which is insane.
Botox parties.
Yeah.
Love those.
I mean, I like the party.
We never invited though. It's crazy. Like, you shouldn't drink and drive. Drink and Botox. Don't do it, people. Like, if you see a Botox party where you go and mingle and get alcohol, and maybe even the injector takes a couple of drinks. This is not the place for your Botox.
So this new law, which is expected to get going in 2021, January 1st, right? Hopefully, if we even get there. I mean, again, like you mentioned before, this has been a proposal that has been on the table for a lot of years, but nothing has really happened. But now it sounds like things are getting going again. But what does that mean for the industry? Well, first of all, like you said, also probably like 40 to 50% of all caregivers in Sweden who provide these treatments aren't even licensed, right? So they're gonna disappear, which means that the industry as a whole will become more serious. Today there are a number of unserious providers out there, which will be good for the patients.
Both for patients and for us as well, for the serious ones. So those will remain and continue educating themselves and giving good, providing good service to the patients, and for the patients, just the safety levels will just rise to the roof. I mean,
and with regard to competition, this is something we were asked during the interview that we had with SVT. They were like, "Oh well, how will it affect you if your competitors will disappear?" Well, first of all, we don't really see them as our competitors, right? Because there needs to be like some sort of like bar of what you expect from yourself and from your competitors, right? Like number one for us has always been medical safety, and that all our caregivers need to be licensed medical professionals. Otherwise, there's nothing there. You know, if Dr. Neha or Aron Oliver or Aron Jennifer, if they were not licensed medical professionals, we wouldn't even be sitting here. So that's absolutely a must. So anyone who claims to be our competitor but doesn't have that, knowledge, we don't really see them as competitors in that sense. But again, like this for us is more like an ethical and moral question. Like we think every person has the right to professional medical expertise, and they deserve to go to people who can take care of them. Because at the end of the day, you're paying a lot of money for this stuff. Imagine going and paying, 4,000 kroner to do lips somewhere, and I'm doing your lips. And if something happens to you, I can't even take care of you.
Another thing we get a lot of questions about is our price level and the ones that are not legitimate in our business. Why can they have half the price? We see in the comments sometimes, you have fancy clinic and the equipment and everything, but that's not the biggest reason. The biggest reason is knowledge. And we regularly send all of our employees, skin therapists, we send our nurses and doctors on really expensive educations, like each quarter minimum. So just to keep up with the safety, new techniques, and there's always something new coming up that you should know about, like old techniques that worked before, where you see the complications are not that much, but then somebody comes up with a new technique which works much better with less swelling, with less risk to hit something, so this is where like all the investment goes, and to be compared with somebody that knows nothing about anatomy, of course is going to be less expensive. Yeah, so this would be like if you see something that's too cheap, kind of too good to be true, it probably is. So I don't think this is should be that price sensitive industry, like tattoos. If I know that I'm gonna do a tattoo, I would not go around the corner, some cheap. I will do my research. I will find a good tattoo artist. Probably they will have like a half a year waiting time. I'll put myself in the list because I know this is something serious. I'm doing something with my body that will not disappear. And this is the same thing. I think people don't really realize the dangers and that this is actually a medical procedure. It's not a joke. It's not a joke injecting something in your body, because a lot of people have done it. You haven't seen the repercussions maybe in small groups where some complications seen, even those people are shamed. They normally don't even report their providers because they're ashamed that they've done something.
Labeled in a bad
They've been labeled already because this is a taboo. So yeah, I think you should, like, this is really serious and you should really do your homework before going anywhere. This is not a step you should take lightly. But when you have done your research, and you can always start off with something small just to check and then go from there. I would say that please, in this case, really, the price does affect the outcome as well. The safety mostly, because yeah, you could end up in wrong hands, and then the 1,000 crowns or two that you saved could cost you eternal pain.
Yeah.
Definitely think about that.
So I guess to summarize, obviously this industry is completely blowing up. It is growing like crazy worldwide, but especially in Sweden. And it is absolutely mind-blowing that a law like this hasn't been enforced yet. I mean, today, there's still no law. There's a proposal, but no law yet, which is crazy. So, I mean, we support that. We think it's really good, which you also said on the news. It is good to make it tougher, especially in a country like Sweden, where we've always been at the forefront of innovation, at the forefront of regulation and safety and all that. But here we're just like, oh, Marko, come inject my face. It's crazy. But yeah, so let's see how it works. We're optimistic.